Hello everyone, good morning. Another trade that I took today was shared in the community as well. Just gonna walk you through the basic idea of why the trade was taken, where the stop loss was, basically the idea why I took this trade, where I took it. Uh, let's quickly jump right into it. Let's get into the replay mode and talk about it quickly. So if you take a look at 60, right, to the left side, there's a buyer that came in very strongly from here to all the way up to there, probably with dollar CPI a couple weeks ago, uh, maybe last week on Tuesday. Yeah. So after that, it starts to pull back. It's pulling back, pulling back, pulling back, looking to buy, cannot buy, and sells aggressively, right? So in the picture of this bigger buyer, there's a seller that comes in. Cannot buy it here, cannot buy it here, because all the way through to here you're still inside this seller, right? Although you're inside this buyer too, but the recent territory that we always talk about is that of a sell, right? And then it takes a lot of time to pull back, and then it sells on Wednesday, day before yesterday. It sells, this seller sells, goes all the way down to here, lower low, and comes in the point of interest for this buyer, right? Now, still, I cannot buy it here. I want to see the buyer come back and then the seller struggling to go, and then I'll be able to buy it. So what happens is that in the bigger picture of all of this stuff that we're looking at, when this seller sells, the last bit of selling that happened started here yesterday during Asia. There's a little bit of a range, and then it drops for a lower low, even lower from here, drops for a lower low, goes all the way down to there, and then as soon as London opens, the buying begins. If you take a look at the timestamp down there, it's 1 o'clock my time. That's when London opens my time, and then the buying begins. If you take a look at 15 minutes, it's all of this area that we were afraid of, that the sellers are going to be in control here. But the buying that happened also followed by initial jobless claims on dollar yesterday. Let me just give you a quick peek on that. Yeah, yesterday, jobless claims, positive for dollar, positive for dollar, um, positive for dollar. So multiple news positive for dollar, although there's some negative news too, but the price action is showing us that we've made a new buyer's territory, a new buyer's point of interest from the left side of where this big buyer came in, right? We've gone through the last bit of sells. We've put in a higher high. What we're looking for now is a higher low. Now, yesterday during New York, it started to pull back, but if you take a look at how it's pulling back in comparison to how the buyer came up, the sellers are so weak, right? It's just, tries to sell. Let me just get rid of all of these brushes so that you can see clearly. One more time. Okay, okay. So as the news came out, positive for dollar went all the way up to there, pulls back, tries to sell, cannot sell, holds, puts in a higher low, and goes all the way back up to there. And since then, it just chops all the way down to there, especially this piece, right? This little piece right here, it just chops all the way down to there. And around this time where you see this aggressive buys, there was a speech today, early morning during Asia, uh, from someone from Fed, right? So he spoke, the dollar price shot higher, and then it sold again, right? At this point, when this happens, everyone is looking to buy, 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 buy. Stop losses below this, right? So what I want to see is I want when I want to buy, I want sellers to be introduced into the market so that whoever's buying here, whoever after this move up, and whoever is buying and buying and buying and stop losses below this, I want to see their stop losses getting taken out so that they switch sides to the opposite side, and then the bigger player is going to make money. That is how the 95 to 5% works. The ratio of win to lose in this industry. That is how it works. So not gonna let the video go for a very long time. This is where I shared this image in the community. So initially, what how I was reading it, it was so in the process of when everyone is buying and you want to take the stop losses out, or how everyone refers to as these days is liquidity. Well, that's basically the same concept. So how I was reading it is that this seller in the smaller picture sells, goes through all of this area, comes all the way down to here, cannot go any lower. Buyer shows some sort of aggression, and then the seller tries to sell again, fails, goes all the way back up to where the sells initially began, right? So what I wanted to see initially was a little bit of chop around in this area, and then buys from this area, right? This is what I was looking for initially. Um, Again, let's just get rid of the brushes. Let's get out of the replay mode and take a look at it. So what happened was, as it started to come down to test this area, it came down pretty aggressively, right? You do not see any chops here or all the way down to here. And as it comes all the way down to here, someone tries to buy, the buy fails. As soon as London opens, the sell comes in. Let me just get rid of uh, this and this and this. So as soon as London opens, the sell comes in. Now this sell has switched every single person, every Tom, Dick, and Harry into a seller. Although as it breaks lower, I also thought that the idea of the buy is invalid now. But because my initial analysis was that of a buy, I did not just turn to the sell side. I, kept sitting in my seat and I kept watching what the price is doing. And on a lower time frame, if you take a look at it, as this seller sold at, let me just again get rid of all the brushes and we're almost done, right? The video is a little longer than expected, but bear with me. Okay, so as soon as this seller sold, everyone who has switched sides to the sell side is trying to get in on sells here. But what I am seeing is if this sell is to continue, it's going to continue from here. And if you take a look at this little piece, this is a little bit of sell that happens, and then the buy takes over, puts in a higher high. What I'm looking for now is a higher low right at this piece. This is where the entry was. Stop loss just below this. Now it's at break even. And what I'm aiming for on this is I'll take partials up here, because as we've discussed multiple times in the course, in the previous videos, if this buyer is buying again, he's gonna want to attempt a higher high. If he fails, that's a different story. So stop loss is at break even, so I'm not going to be in a loss on this. I'm aiming for partials up in this area, but overall the targets should be um, up in this area. Well, it depends if the buyer can continue to go, because if you take a look at the bigger picture again, this is the first test of this buyer and it's holding, right? So it could just come up into this area, go a little higher, then come down again to go, or it could just continue to go. At this point in time, the bias on dollar CAD is that of a buy, as long as we're above this. If we break below this or this, well, then you can look for sells after pullbacks. Pretty much about it. Cheers.